Greetings to one and all. You are listening to MMJC Fortnightly Podcast. Today we have with us CS Mr. Vallabh M. Joshi, Senior Manager at MMJC, to address our queries. As discussed in the earlier edition of MMJC Fortnightly Podcast, the listed entities are required to take up the quarterly compliances for the quarter ended June by the end of July, that is within 30 days from the end of the quarter. There are a number of quarterly compliances that a listed company needs to undertake. For example, filing of corporate governance report under Regulation 37 of LODR, filing of shareholding pattern under Regulation 31 of LODR, filing of statement of investor grievance under Regulation 13 of LODR, filing of certificate of demat of shares under Regulation 74 of Depository and Participant Regulations 1996, and filing of share capital audit under Regulation 76 of Depository and Participant Regulations 1996. One such compliance is filing of shareholding pattern with the stock exchanges. So, in this edition of MMJC Fortnightly Podcast, we shall throw some light on anomalies in filing the shareholding pattern. So, the requirement of filing of shareholding pattern or SHP comes from Regulation 31 of SEBI Listing Obligations and Disclosure Requirement Regulations 2015 or LODR. Sub-regulation 1 of Regulation 31 says that the listed entity should file its shareholding pattern to the stock exchanges in the format prescribed by SEBI within 21 days from the end of each quarter, except for the companies who have listed their shares on SME exchanges. Such companies are required to file shareholding pattern in the 6 months. Further, SEBI has prescribed the format of SHP through its various circulars. So, sir, before discussing about the anomalies, can you please throw some light upon the format of SHP?
Yes, shareholding pattern can be classified in three categories. These categories are promoter and promoter group, public shareholding, and non-promoter non-public shareholding. Originally, the format of SHP as prescribed under SEBI circular dated 30th November 2015 contained 4 parts. Thereafter, SEBI through its various circulars amended format of SHP, the latest circular being dated 30th June 2022, which amended the format to add therein some more parts pertaining to disclosure of foreign ownership limits. And this new format was effective from 30th September 2022 quarter. Now, the revised SHP has 6 parts. The revised SHP format has 6 parts. First part, summary statement holding of specified securities. This statement, as the name suggests, provides a brief summary of all the 3 types of shareholders. Second part, statement showing shareholding pattern of the promoter and promoter group. This part specifically talks about the shareholding of the promoter and promoter group entities. The details such as name and type of promoter, his or its PAN number and percentage of shareholding, etc. are to be disclosed here. Number of shares unclaimed or shares whose voting rights are frozen, if any, are also to be mentioned in this part. Third part is statement showing shareholding pattern of the public shareholders. In this part, the details of the shares held by general public, including institutional and retail investors, are to be mentioned. The shares held by the persons acting in concert with the promoters may be provided in this part if they are not forming part of promoter group. Fourth part is statement showing shareholding pattern of the non-promoter, non-public shareholder. The details of custodian, ESOP trusts and depository receipt holders, if any, are to be entered in this part. Fifth part is relating to statement showing details of significant beneficial owners. In this part, the company is required to provide the details regarding the shares held by beneficial owners as prescribed under Companies Act 2013. The details of such beneficial owners and the registered owners of the shares are also to be provided in this part. The sixth part and the last part is the statement showing foreign ownership limits. In this part, information pertaining to the foreign shareholders of the listed entity have to be prescribed.
Thank you, sir. Now, perusing further the regulations 31, we come across the sub-regulation 4, which was inserted by an amendment notification dated November 6th, 2018. This sub-regulation requires that the listed entity should disclose the particulars of all entities falling under promoter and promoter group in the shareholding pattern as appearing on the website of the stock exchanges having nationwide trading terminals. As mentioned by you and also prescribed under sub-regulation 4, the shareholding pattern should disclose the promoter and promoter group entities of the listed company. For the definition of promoter and promoter group, the shareholding pattern and the SEBI circular dated November 30th, 2015 refers to the definition of promoter and promoter group as prescribed under Regulation 2 Sub-Regulation 1 PP under SEBI ICDR regulations. But these wordings of sub-regulation 4 do not make it clear that whether the listed company should disclose the names of promoters and promoter group or entities having shareholding in the company only, or it should disclose the names of all the promoter and promoter group entities irrespective of the shareholding in the company. What are your views in this regard?
Yes, Rutuja, I'll clarify on this. On November 23rd, 2020, SEBI had issued a consultation paper wherein it was stated that all entities falling under promoter and promoter group shall be disclosed separately even in case of nil shareholding. It was further highlighted by SEBI that all entities falling under promoter and promoter group shall be disclosed separately in the shareholding pattern. There have been cases where listed companies have not been disclosing names of persons in promoters and promoter group who hold nil shareholding. There is therefore a need for further clarification in this regard to listed companies. This was what SEBI mentioned in a consultation paper dated 23rd November 2020. But this consultation paper has not been implemented till date. Therefore, there are two views in the industry in this regard. First view is that since SEBI had proposed to clarify through consultation paper, we must disclose the names of all promoters and members of promoter group irrespective whether they hold shares in the listed entity or not. Whereas the second view is that since the consultation paper is not yet implemented, the clarification therein is not binding upon the listed entities. Therefore, we must give details of only those promoters and members of promoter group who have shareholding in the company.
If we take the second view and disclose the names of only those promoters and members of promoter group entities who have shareholding in the listed entity, then are there any consequences which the listed entity may have to face in future?
Yes, Rutuja, there might be few consequences going forward if details of only those promoters and members of promoter group is mentioned who are holding shares in listed entity. Disclosing only those promoters and members of promoter group who are holding shares in listed company in the SHP might lead to mismatch in disclosures made under different regulations of SEBI LODR. For example, as per clause A of first proviso to Regulation 2, Sub-Regulation 1, Clause ZB of SEBI LODR, any person forming part of promoter or promoter group would be considered as related party. So, listed company would be considering all entities or persons forming part of promoter group as related parties, irrespective whether they have any shareholding in the company or not. But some of those persons may not be forming part of disclosure of promoter or promoter group as per SHP. This will lead to mismatch in information provided to stock exchanges. If a person is not recognized as promoter or a member of promoter group in SHP, then on what basis can the company call him related party will be a question.
Is there a chance of any such mismatch or anomaly in case of any other SEBI regulation as well?
Yes, one such difficulty can be faced in case of SEBI Substantial Acquisition of Shares and Takeover Regulations 2011, also known as SEBI SAST. Regulation 10, Sub-Regulation 1, Clause A, Point 2 of SAST says that in case of interstate transfer of shares among persons named as promoters in the shareholding pattern by the target company for not less than 3 years prior to the date of proposed acquisition, the acquirer would be exempted from giving open offer even if the quantum of acquisition in interstate transfer is more than 5% of the voting rights. Now, after perusing this provision, it is clear that if details of any promoter are not mentioned in SHP due to non-holding of shares in the listed entity, then he will not be able to avail this exemption in case that promoter wants to acquire any shares of listed entity from any other promoter in future, and it may trigger open offer if quantum of shares being acquired is more than 5% of voting rights, even if the total holding of promoter and promoter group does not change.
Apart from the disclosures relating to promoter and promoter group mentioned above, are there any other disclosures linked to promoter and promoter group which are required to be provided in the shareholding pattern?
Yes, Rutuja. There are certain additional disclosures that are required to be given. In the statement showing shareholding of public shareholders, there is a requirement to disclose as a separate category the details of shares held by trusts where any person belonging to promoter and promoter group category is trustee, beneficiary or author of the trust, along with names of each such trust. Similarly, if any relatives of promoters other than immediate relatives of promoters disclosed under promoter and promoter group category are holding shares in the company and they are not categorized under promoter group, then the number of shares held by such persons also needs to be disclosed as a separate category along with the names of each such relative. Listed company will have to keep a track of all such entities and be updated with these details, as these details need to be disclosed as separate categories.
Is there any requirement to disclose about the person acting in concert in the shareholding pattern, even if such person is not forming part of promoter and promoter group? If yes, is there any care required to be taken while disclosing the information of person acting in concert in shareholding pattern?
Yes, Rutuja, care should be taken. As per Regulation 2, Sub-Regulation 1, Clause Q, Point 2, Sub-Point 4 of SEBI SAST, all members of promoter and promoter group are considered as persons acting in concert. But there is a possibility that there can be persons who hold shares in the listed entity along with the promoters with a common intention of exercising control over the target company, but they are not forming part of promoter or promoter group. In such scenarios, these persons acting in concert may be disclosed under public shareholding category of SHP, that is shareholding pattern, if the listed entity has not categorized them as members of promoter group. Earlier, Regulation 30 of SAST required the company to disclose the information with respect to persons acting in concert as part of yearly disclosure to be given by promoters, but after omission of regulation 30 of SAST, this requirement does not exist. Removal of this requirement of yearly disclosure under regulation 30 of SAST has increased the importance of disclosure of persons acting in concert in the shareholding pattern. In fact, SEBI had omitted regulation 30 of SAST as filing of SHP and again filing of disclosure under regulation 30 of SAST were resulting in duplicate data being submitted in the system. As we have already discussed, the regulation 10 of SAST regulations provide exemption to certain persons from giving open offer in case of acquisition by way of interstate transfer of shares. Such exemption is also available to acquisition of shares by persons acting in concert from another person acting in concert under regulation 10 sub-regulation 1 clause A.3 only if the acquirer as well as the transferor are shown as persons acting in concert in the shareholding pattern for at least 3 years.
The format of SHP requires the listed entity to disclose the details of such shares which are encumbered by the promoters or promoter group entities. The definition of encumbrance is as provided under Regulation 28 Sub-Regulation 3 of SEBI SAST regulations. So, is there any care that has to be taken while reporting such encumbrance?
Yes, care has to be taken. As per Regulation 28 Sub-Regulation 3 of SEBI SAST, the term encumbrance has been defined by SEBI. Definition of encumbrance is inclusive definition. Encumbrance would include all kinds of restriction on free and marketable title to shares. As definition is wide in nature, any sort of arrangement which brings in restriction on free and marketable title to shares would fall under encumbrance. This might lead to a situation wherein listed entity may not be able to identify and disclose a particular transaction as encumbrance. So it is necessary that all agreements, undertakings or any sort of dealing in listed company shares needs to be perused carefully.
Sir, what are such anomalies?
This is a very debatable subject altogether and has many aspects linked to it. A detailed analysis of definition of encumbrance as prescribed under SAST regulations is needed for this. Only then can we decide what is encumbrance as per SAST regulations and what is not. Maybe we can have a separate discussion in one of the upcoming podcasts as to what can be considered as encumbrance under SAST and what will not be considered as encumbrance and in what manner it is to be disclosed under the SHP.
Thank you, sir, for your insights on this topic. I believe the discussion was really very enriching and should help the listed entities to undertake better compliance with respect to filing of shareholding pattern. This is all in this edition of MMJC Fortnightly Podcast. Thank you for listening to us. Please feel free to write to us at mmjcinfo@mmjc.in about your suggestions and feedbacks.
Thank you, Rutuja.